Hello there, and welcome to my channel, Novice Modelling in a Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy, and today we're doing a What's in the Box kit review, which I think is 290, on my AZ model, 1/72 scale, AZ7553, Martin Baker MB5 British prototype fighter from 1944. And this is kind of an interesting kit because, one, it's an interesting subject, and I have to be honest, they're kind of hard to find. So we'll have a look at the history of this particular kit and kind of how I discovered it as well. We've got something else off to the left hand side, but this one originally turned up by AZ in 2016. It had some replacement decals for a C Baker kit number AZ7561 in 2017. They also did the MB6 Ferret, which is just an updated version with, I think, some extra fuel tanks on the wings. That is AZ7580 in 2017, and the Night Ferret 7581 also in 2017. So there's a couple of sort of variants floating out there of the AZ model kit, but this is hard to find. I think it was actually deleted, and you can pay quite big money for these considering the size and detail of it. I think I picked this up for about 18 quid, which is a pretty fair price. Kozovodoy Prostyov actually also produced this kit as well in 2024, and that is KPH 7203. And I don't know whether people are aware of this or not, but AZ models and Kozovodoy Prostyov, or KP, are pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, the same people. They share the same head office address in the Czech Republic, so it's got to be the same company as far as I'm aware. So the actual kit is essentially the same, but it's marketed as a high-tech kit, and it states that there are new parts in there which are 3D printed. So there's a bunch of extra parts. What they are, I don't know, to be quite honest with you. There is availability of that on eBay at the moment from a company called Mainly Military. I'm not in conjunction with these trying to sell them, I'm just passing on the info, and that's currently going for £26.95, so it ain't cheap, but it is interesting. Now, my experience with this aircraft, I kind of found out about it randomly, and I thought, oh, I want one of those, and I ended up with one of these, which is a Falcon Martin Baker MB5, and this is a what the hell do we call this? One of these things. It's a vacuform kit, which is essentially a piece of plastic that's been kind of moulded into the basic shape of an aircraft, and these are kind of hard, I understand. So I'm kind of glad that I got the AZ instead, because yeah, they are difficult. So we'll have a look at the parts for this and the instructions and the blurb. A couple of other kits that I am aware of that also produce this are one from a company called Planet Models, which is PLT 112. Expect to pay 40 to 50 quid for one of those. I don't really know what they are, but I think they're kind of more resin kits. Please do fill me in on what a Planet Model kit is. All I know is they're interesting but expensive, and I've never really looked at them because of that. So let's have a look at these parts. And as we can see, we've got the fuselage up in front of us first, and it's quite nicely detailed. We've got a whole load of panel lines there, not too thick, not too thin, all recessed. We've got the mounting point for the tail, space for the cockpit canopy, and as we can see, there are no mounting points for our wings, so be careful, you need to get your angles right. We've got this big chunky intake here. This is our part of our tail. It's double-sided, so there's no sticking together required there. This is part of the undercarriage floor. That's going to be the where the seat is fitted, I think. Got a couple of side panels to go on the inside of the fuselage. There's our seat. A couple of the covers for the wheels. I think they're guns. These little pieces here, these are like parts of the bays for the undercarriage to go into the wings. So there's 4 of those to build up. Quite a sturdy looking tail wheel there. We've got our undercarriage wheel with some detail That looks like our control stick. Pedals. It's part of the bulkhead for the cockpit controls. I think that's the armoured back for the seat. Another wheel, and we've got some nice thick looking undercarriage struts as well. So that all looks quite nice. There's not much detail going on the interior, but obviously these side panels do come into play, so there is detail there. Obviously the KP version of this might have a highly detailed interior. You'd have to kind of look into that on your own. I'm just giving you the basic AZ kit. So here we have our wings. These are quite short for it's quite a chunky looking aircraft, and it's got quite short wings. So we've got quite big spaces here for our undercarriage. I don't know what they're all about. I have noticed there's a bit of an sort of moulding defect on there. My panel lines are not quite perfect, but I'm sure we can sort something out there. This has got like one of these double propellers. I forget what that's called. Somebody stick that in the comment section. So there's our inner propeller and the outer propeller with the spinner. They're going to be the mounting points for the propeller. What's going on here? We've got multiple options for our tail by the look of it. I've just realised that. So we've got tail here, so I'm guessing one of these is going to be for this sea baker or the ferret. I'm sure the instructions will tell us what is what here. So there's two different versions of the tail and two different versions of the tail planes. There's some guns. There's our engine manifolds. Don't know what all those parts are. So that's interesting. We've got a whole load of spares here as well. And so we've got some riveting on that panel as well. Some detail on the interior of the undercarriage bays. So it all looks quite nice. Mounting points for the tail planes, but not the wings. That's the only thing I'm a bit sort of, you know, why couldn't you put some mounting points on the wings? This makes it a little bit easier, doesn't it? But okay, whatever. We get one canopy, which is a sort of bubble canopy. Not too much painting to be hassled with on that. And we get a decal sheet, which is pretty basic, but it's a experimental aircraft, so that's what you get. Instructions. Getting a detailed plan of what we've got. Doesn't say what we're not supposed to use on here, which is always kind of useful when you see these. We've got a instrument panel. Where was the instrument panel? I don't remember seeing that. Oh, there it is there. There's the instrument panel, a bit out of focus. So we do the instrument panel first, then we've got these interior left and right hand sides of the cockpit. Painting up the stick. Then we've got assembly for our undercarriage struts. They look a little bit fragile, there's some pins there. And we've got a tail wheel assembly, propeller, whatever these things are, don't know what they are. And then we've got the interior of the cockpit going together, and then extra parts of the cockpit, so we can see we're actually building up a full box cockpit here, and which we're going to slot into the fuselage. There's our fuselage assembly, attaching the exhaust manifolds. And that's what they are, so they're the little doors for the rear tail. So obviously the tail retracts into the fuselage on this as well. There's our wing assembly with guns and these bays that I was talking about. Attaching the undercarriage and then putting the wings onto the undercarriage with the tail. So there we go. So that's the Project RAF, Project Royal Navy. So we've got one set version for the RAF and we've got one set for the Sea Baker. That's kind of cool. And look how short those wings are. It's kind of weird. They do look quite short. Okay, so those of you that aren't familiar with what the hell a Martin Baker MB5 is, let's read the history out. The British Martin Baker MB5 was the ultimate development of a series of prototype fighter aircraft built during the Second World War. Neither the MB5 nor its predecessors ever entered production, despite what test pilots described as excellent performance. Martin Baker Aircraft actually began the MB5 as the second Martin Baker MB3 prototype, designed to Air Ministry specification F-18/39 for an agile, sturdy Royal Air Force fighter, able to fly faster than 400 miles per hour. After the first MB3 crashed in 1942, killing Val Baker, the second prototype was delayed. A modified MB3 with a Rolls-Royce Griffon was planned as the MB4, but a full redesign was chosen instead. The redesigned aircraft, designated MB5, used wings similar to the MB3, but had an entirely new steel tube fuselage. Power came from a Rolls-Royce Griffon 83 liquid-cooled V12 engine, producing 2,340 horsepower, and driving two 3-bladed, contra-rotating propellers. There we go, that's what it is. Armament was 4 20mm Hispano cannon, mounted in the wings outboard of the widely spaced retractable undercarriage. A key feature of the design was ease of manufacture and maintenance. Much of the structure was box-like, favouring straight lines and simple conformation. It was built under the same contract that covered the building of the MP3. The first flight of the MB5 prototype, serial R2496, took place on 23rd of May 1944. Performance was considered outstanding by test pilots, and the cockpit layout was praised by the aeroplane and armament experimental establishment. The accessibility of the fuselage for maintenance was excellent, thanks to a system of detachable panels. In my opinion, this is an outstanding aircraft, particularly when regarded in the light of the fact that it's made its maiden flight as early as 23rd of May 1944, test pilot Captain Eric Brown. Acknowledged as one of the best aerobatic pilots in the UK, squadron leader Janusz Zurkowski from the AAEE at RAF Boscombe Down gave a spectacular display at the Farnborough Air Show in June 1946 with the Martin Baker MB5, a design he considered as a superlative piston engine fighter, better in many ways than the Spitfire. Serial production, had it been authorised, would have begun in time for squadron service over Germany. Instead, the RAF directed their attention towards jet-powered fighters, and the MB5 remained unordered. Perhaps one of the reasons that the MB5 did not go into production was because the Rolls-Royce Griffon engine failed when the MB5 was being demonstrated to Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill, the Chief of Air Staff, and a host of other VIPs. That's an important display of British and captured aircraft at Farnborough. Another reason, stated by Michael Bowyer, is that Martin Baker may have lacked both facilities and sufficient government support. The company's slow progress with the machine could have been due to a lack of facilities. The original MB5 was reputedly destroyed on a gunnery range, citation required. Martin Baker went on to become one of the world's leading builders of ejection seats. So there we go. I hope you kind of found that marginally interesting, and I hope you are able to, if you do so want to, pick one of these up either by AZ or the slightly newer and better version, the Kozovodoy Prostyov KPH7203 High-Tech. So thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and as always, be seeing you.